Bihari Ju ki jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki jai. Nityalla Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatarashata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev ki jai. Nityalla Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatarashata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nityalla Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatarashata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nityalla Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatarashata Shishimar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nityalla Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatarashata Shishimar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Nityalla Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Shila Gorkshara Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nityalla Pravishta Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nityalla Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupa Nuga Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Patadash Raghunath Sharda Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Namachay Shila Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट व्रत गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री Srila Bhakti Shri Siddhanti Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Tadiya Shubhat Avirvav Titi ki jai. Shri Bhakti Alok Paramahamsa Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Tadiya Shubhat Thirubhav Titi ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur. So there's nobody here yet. Anyhow, it's okay. I was actually supposed to go live now to go through the second verse of Govardhan Vas Prarthana Dashakam, but then I just looked at it and I realized, wait a second, I don't know what all some of these words mean. And so then I decided to make the video tomorrow when I get a little bit more clarity on those couple words. And instead, I'm going live now to read this beautiful article by Srila Prabhupada that he wrote in 1956 in March. Because I read one thing yesterday, this new article that we found Srila Prabhupada wrote in English in 1955, newly discovered article. But then that article is very interesting, very nice. But I also wanted to read something that really brought out Srila Prabhupada's more of his glory. And so that's why, and I didn't get a chance to read this yesterday, so I'm reading it now. But before we read this article, actually, I would like to read this quote. I've shared it so many times and I keep on showing it to people. It's just such an amazing glorification of Srila Prabhupada by Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj. You may have seen me share it a few times before, but can't help myself. This is just so good. So after Srila Prabhupada's disappearance, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, he declared, I consider him and this quote will give some context also for the article that we'll read. We'll see how really Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj. Anyways, I'll just. So he says, I consider him Shaktivesh Avatar, and it is confirmed in his writings on his spiritual journey through the Atlantic. How he landed there in America, and the nature of his beginning the movement, his intense degree of dedication to Krishna and dependence, and how much he made himself empty of any other desire than the order of his Gurudev, quite empty that Krishna came down to help him. And it is corroborated that Krishna In his poem, Prayer to the Lotus Feet of Krishna, I think it's called Shri Krishna Charane Prarthana. That's the name of the poem, Krishna Tava Punya Habe Bhai. So in that prayer, we find him pleading with Krishna. My dear brother, your good fortune will come to you only when Srimati Radharani becomes pleased with you. Seeing his Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, as Radharani's delegation, and his order as her divine service, he humbly submitted that he did not feel himself worthy or fit to discharge the divine service. So he enlisted Krishna in the service of his Guru. He had completely dedicated himself to the purpose. He was so earnest in his prayer to Krishna that he may discharge the duty that has been given to him by his Guru Maharaj. Divine power came down to help him. Otherwise, it is impossible. It is not a thing of the ordinary level that anyone can do. Take the highest thing, take this Krishna consciousness to the lowest position, to the fallen souls so extensively. It cannot but be in power, embodied and in great intensity and magnitude. So, Shakta Vish Avatar, I cannot but take him to be so. And here's another quote. He said, Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj says, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj said, in that same song, my Guru is Radharani. She will be very gracious to you, Krishna, if you help me in discharging the order of my Gurudev, if you help me in my propaganda work. Krishna tava punya habe bhai, hoye punya koribe jabe, Radharani kushi habe, adhruvayati boli toma tai. Krishna tava punya habe bhai. If you seek anything, if you are in want of anything, Krishna, then that is the goodwill of Radharani. And she will be pleased with you if you help me, because I am attempting to carry out the order of one whom is none other than Srimati Radharani personified. So you must help me. Krishna had no alternative but to come down to him and help his propaganda work. He had to come. Swami Maharaj was such a great friend of mine. He went away, but he is still with me through you. He is so kind to me. He is forcibly engaging me. Where else shall we get such a good friend, such a kind friend? So we see, so many devotees, they glorify Srila Prabhupada. Because Srila Prabhupada is it's very easy to not run out of things to glorify Srila Prabhupada with. His glories are so dramatic and extreme, like everything that he went through, how he was there's endless stories, and we see like there's this Prabhupada memory series that Siddhanta Prabhu made with all of Srila Prabhupada's disciples telling so many stories, story after story, and so many extraordinary glories of Srila Prabhupada. And most of the time when people glorify Srila Prabhupada, and they're wonderful glorifications, I'm not minimizing the glorifications, but so many times it's talking about amazing things, how he spread Krishna consciousness to this place and that place and this place and but really, what is the essence of Srila Prabhupada's glories? What these are all happening because of his, as we see in Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj's glorification here, his extreme Guru Nishta. How I love how Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj said he made himself completely empty so empty of any other desire other than to fulfill the order of his guru. He was so empty of any other desire. It was so extreme his desire to fulfill his Gurudev's manobhishta that Krishna was forced to come. Krishna had no other alternative. Krishna had to come. So that is the topmost example of what it means to really want to fulfill the desire of Sri Guru, when our desire is so intense that Krishna will give all his Shakti so that we can fulfill that desire. He enlisted Krishna in the service of Radharani, right? Of his guru, he said. He enlisted Krishna in the service of his guru. That's real Guru Seva. So in this article, it's not just that, Srila Prabhupada, he wanted to distribute Mahamantra to all the jivas and deliver all the jivas in the world, and he made preaching centers in every single town and village in the world, and like that's wonderful. But this is all a result of Srila Prabhupada's extreme desire to fulfill the desire of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. And we're going to see that in this article that I'm going to read now. This is an article before he went to the West. We can see what was blazing in his heart, what was his impetus, what pushed him to make that journey across the Atlantic. So let me open up this article now. This is called the Compassionate Avatar of Kali-yuga. This is translated into English for the first time by Raise the Harmonist team for the issue number 16 in Kārtika 2006. Okay. Srila Rupa Goswami is the confidential servant of Sri Gaurasundar, the most munificent avatar who mercifully appeared in the age of Kali. Karunaya Avatirna Kalo. And Srila Prabhupada wrote this in Bengali for the Gaudiya Patrika. And this is a series, so this is the first article in the series. Okay, so Srila Rupa Goswami is a confidential servant of Gaurasundar, who mercifully appeared in the age of Kali. Karuna Avatirna Kalo. That's what the series is called, actually. It's Karuna Avatirna Kalo. This is part 1. Who but such an intimate servant can understand which mood appears in the heart of Mahaprabhu at what moment, and how that mood augments the Hladini Shakti, the internal pleasure potency that resides there? No one has the power to understand the deep and diverse pastimes of Sriman Mahaprabhu without bathing in the dust of the lotus feet of such an antaranga, such an intimate internal associate. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu always prayerfully contemplated the lotus feet of those internal devotees, and in this way he proceeded in his service of glorifying Mahaprabhu without the slightest obstruction. He concludes every chapter of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita with Sri Rupa Raghunatha Pare Jar Ash Chaitanya Charitamrita, praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always aspiring for their mercy. I, Krishnadas, write the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We will understand the transcendental pastimes of Sri Gaurasundar only when we receive the blessings of Srila Rupa and Raghunath. For this reason, Srila Rupa Goswami benedicted all jivas. Anarpita charim sharat karunaya vatirna kalo. Samarpaitum unato jala rasang sabhakti shriyam. Hari purata sundara dyuti kadamba sandipitaha. Sada hridaya kandare spurato va shachinandana. May the son of Shrimati Shachi Devi, Sri Gaur Hari, forever manifest spontaneously within the innermost core of your heart. Adorned with the radiant splendor of molten gold, he has descended, Avatirna, he has descended in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to upon the world that which has not been given for a long time. The beauty of his own brilliantly radiant Ujjvala Prem Ras Bhakti, service in the highest mellow of amorous love. So that's from, I think that's the 4th verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita, isn't it? From the beginning. And it's also originally written by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Vidagdha Madhav 1-2. Accomplish this task. Let me just make sure everything's running okay. Cool. Hare Krishna Shasharma ji. Oops. Okay. Accomplish this task. Karunaya avatirna kalo. What kindness Sri Shachinandan Hari Gaur Sundar has shown the jivas overwhelmed by the age of Kali by mercifully descending at this time. The people of the world, however, are unable to comprehend his magnanimity, even today. Therefore, to assist us in understanding his purpose for descending, Sri Gaur Sundar himself made a prediction and liberally ordered the residents of Bharat of India to accomplish this task. And let's see what, there's a footnote here for prediction. What's the prediction? Prithivite ache jato nagaradigram sarvatra prachara hoipe moranam. My name will be preached throughout every town and village on earth. So, Bharata bhumite hoilo manusha janma jar, janma sarthak kori koro para upakar. Anyone who has taken a human birth in the land of India should make his life successful by striving for the highest benefit of all others. That's Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila 941. All of the acharyas in the line of Srila Rupa Goswami have endeavored tirelessly to inform everyone of this order of Mahaprabhu by writing unprecedented literatures. Commanded by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupāda proved most effective in his attempts. If his qualified disciples had protected his line of thought and tried to inform the world about Sriman Mahaprabhu, maybe by now they would have successfully preached the message of Sri Gaur Sundar in all corners of the globe. What nectar there is in the message of Sri Gaur Sundar! The educated sector of today's society is most curious to learn about this. In this regard, it is worth noting the words of our respected Dr. Shriyuta Kalidas Nagar. Our commendable godbrother and barrister, Dr. Samvidananda Das, was present one day during a discussion at Dr. Nagar's house. Shri Kalidas practically ridiculed us by saying that a certain mission does not have anything worthy to say, yet its members are preaching their message all over the world. But we are still unable to grand message of Sriman Mahaprabhu beyond the borders of Bengal. We should realize that it is due to our great disqualification that we have not preached this message out of Bengal. If we compete with the Jata Gosais, the caste Goswamis, taking pride in establishing a mere 3 or 4 mats and temples and collecting a few disciples and servants, the message of Mahaprabhu will not be broadcast. Unless we collectively endeavor to ensure that the most munificent incarnation, Sri Gaur Sundar, manifests in the hearts of each and every jiva stricken by Kali, this task will remain unaccomplished. These were the final words of Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. He told us to work cooperatively to preach the message of Rupa. Our misfortune is that we have strived to follow all of his instructions except this one. The first step in attaining transcendental knowledge. In his Sarartha Varshini commentary on Bhagavad Gita, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments on the verse Vyavasayatmika Buddhir 241 as follows. I'm not going to read the Sanskrit, but yeah, this means, on the path of bhakti, our sole sadhana is to follow with resolute intelligence the instruction we have received from Sri Guru Padma. With fixed resolve, we should endeavor to execute whatever order we have received from him regarding Bhagavat Kirtan. This is both our sadhan, our practice, and our sadhya, our goal. Wow. Let me reread that beginning part. On the path of bhakti, our sole sadhan is to follow with resolute intelligence the instruction we have received from Sri Guru Padma. With fixed resolve, we should endeavor to execute whatever order we received from him regarding Bhagavat Kirtan. This is both our sadhan and our sadhya, and our sole duty is to organize our entire life around trying to follow that instruction. We are never to neglect the order of Guru Padma, either in the stage of sadhan or when we have attained our ultimate goal. Our sole desire is to serve Guru Padma according to his desire. We should have no other aspiration, even in our dreams. If in following the order of Guru Padma we encounter happiness or distress, let it be. Our material life may be destroyed or may not, but whatever the case, so be it. Either way, we will neither lose nor gain. Our one and only duty is to serve our spiritual master. To be fixed in this understanding is characteristic of resolute intelligence and firm faith. Service to Sri Guru and Bhagavan performed with this constitutes bhakti. All else we do in the name of bhakti is simply sense gratification. Heavy words, huh? All else we do in the name of bhakti is simply sense gratification. What's driving everything that we do in bhakti? It's this desire to serve Sri Guru and to fulfill his desire, to follow his instructions. That's the meaning of resolute intelligence and firm faith. When Aurangzeb went to instruct his son Muhammad about devotion to his forefathers, Muhammad plainly said, "Must I learn about devotion to my forefathers from you?" Aurangzeb had imprisoned his own father, Shah Jahan, and usurped his throne, so naturally Muhammad was not ready to hear from him any instruction on ancestral respect. When Vallabh Bhatta declared his own commentary on the Bhagavat to be superior to that of Sridhar Swami, Sri Gaur Sundar replied, "Prabhasi kohe Swami na mane jan, Veshara bhitore tare koriye ganan." Smiling, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "I consider that person a prostitute who does not accept the Swami to be an authority." That's Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila 7:115. Bhagavad Gita instructs us that worshipping the Acharya Upasana, is the first principal step in attaining transcendental knowledge. Therefore, one who tries to attain the position of Guru by disregarding the Acharyas and Sri Guru's instructions will never be successful in that position. The flow of mercy. Just checking everything is still going. Okay, cool. In Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, Sriman Nityananda Prabhu broke open the dam that blocked the ocean of mercy and began to distribute prem to any and everyone. The society of goldsmiths in Saptagram were harassed by the artificial caste system of Balal Sen. They were of the lowest caste, yet Nanda Prabhu went from door to door and delivered them all. Murka vanikakul korilen udar. He delivered the foolish society of goldsmiths. Each person has the right to perform bhakti. One's caste and dynasty are of no consideration. In this mood, Sriman Nityananda Prabhu bestowed prem upon all. Something interesting. Remember, we just read this quote by Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj saying, declaring Srila Prabhupada to be a Shaktivesh avatar. And I heard that one time somebody asked Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, you said Srila Prabhupada is a Shaktivesh avatar, but with which Shakti has he been infused with? Because Shaktivesh avatar explains it in Bhagavatamrita Kana, I think. by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that Shaktivesh is like usually they're infused with a particular Shakti. And so it goes through and explains which Shakti each of the different Shaktivesh avatars are infused with. So somebody's wondering, what Shakti is Srila Prabhupada infused with? And Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj said, Nityananda Prabhu's Shakti. And really, like Srila Prabhupada is saying here, he didn't care about one's caste or dynasty. Every person has the right to perform bhakti. And so Srila Prabhupada going to the West was directly Nityananda Prabhu going to the West. Directly the Shakti of Nityananda Prabhu is going to the West. So later on, the so-called caste Goswamis claimed that they were the sole representatives of Nityananda Prabhu's dynasty, thus again blocking the flow coming from the ocean of mercy. But then the second manifestation of Nityananda himself and the embodiment of Gauranga's teachings, Gauravani, Om Vishnupad Shishimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, broke open that dam and made the river of pure bhakti flow in the same way it did in Sriman Mahaprabhu's time. Jai Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ordered his qualified disciples to come together and preach the message of Sri Rupa and Raghunath as he had done. But now, for some reason, the current of bhakti is again, unfortunately, coming to a standstill. We should all be diligent to ensure that the river of Srila Bhaktivinod's conceptions never stops flowing. Okay, so now the rest of the article, Srila Prabhupada goes into how dark this age of Kali is. Srimad Bhagavatam describes how the rishis headed by Shonak assembled at Naimisharanya, and according to the line of thoughts that is appropriate for Vaishnavas, determines the obligatory duties of the jivas stricken by the age of Kali. Obligatory. Sorry, I don't know why I couldn't say that. Obligatory duties of the jivas stricken by the age of Kali. Seeing the terrible condition of the jivas in Kali-yuga, Shonak and other rishis said to Sutta Goswami, Prayanalpa yusha sabhya kalavasmin yugeja mandha sumanda matayo manda bhagya yupadruta. O learned one, the lifespan of the general person in Kali Yuga is short. Furthermore, he is lazy, lacking resolve in spiritual life, less intelligence, troubled by various obstacles, and unfortunate. That means bereft of sadhu sangha. In addition, he is afflicted by the threefold miseries. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.10. In the age of Kali, all the jivas have short lives, are lazy, and possess an intelligence that is riddled with sinful desire. They are always agitated by obstacles and troubled by sickness and lamentation. The rishis were wondering how, in such a condition, the jivas could attain true welfare. The terrible condition of the human race in Kali Yuga has been described in the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sri Shukadev Goswami told Parikshit, as days in Kali Yuga pass by, religion, truthfulness, cleanliness, forgiveness, compassion, lifespan, and memory will gradually diminish. We are gradually realizing this. In Kali Yuga, a person will adhere to a religion in name only. One who tells the truth will not be able to fill his belly. Cleanliness will not exist at all, because public places, hotels, restaurants, and shops will be full of the most degenerate people with the vilest tendencies. The merits of forgiveness will be forgotten. One who is forgiving will be considered timid or cowardly. Not even members of the same family will be forgiving with each other. The quality of compassion will be found only in fairy tales. Longevity will not exist anywhere, especially in India, where people will only live for 75 years. Memory will be limited to knowledge acquired through books. In Kali Yuga, the status of one's birth, conduct, and good qualities will be measured by one's affluence. A person with wealth will belong to the highest caste and will be considered to bear all good qualities. No one will inquire as to the identity of one's mother and father, for at one's marriage, one's kula, one's family caste, gotra, family line, and those who gather as witnesses to the marriage will not be considered important. All social activities, such as giving and receiving, buying and selling, eating and feeding others, and communicating, will consist solely of lying and cheating. The cause of love between male and female will be based on expertise in lovemaking, style of dress, their decorative ornaments, bodily strength, and external beauty. The term Grahastha ashram will be found only in tales because of the free, unrestricted meeting of men and women. A person will be regarded as a Brahman simply by wrapping a 2 paisa thread around his neck. It will not be necessary to scrutinize him to see if he has the qualities of a Brahman, or those of a Kshatriya or Vaishya. Sight of his thread will suffice. Wearing saffron cloth and carrying a stick will make one a sannyasi, and donning white cloth or pants will denote one as a grahastha. There will be no need for any actual qualification. Only those with money will receive justice. For example, you won't be able to enter the courts without first paying the fee of a money-stamped paper and a lawyer. What to speak of further court proceedings? One will be known as a scholar if, on the strength of his powerful voice, he can lecture for 3 or 4 hours. One who is poor will be considered a ruffian and a thief, and the most honored sadhu will be one who exhibits the most arrogance and self-importance. One who travels a long distance to take bath in the Ganga at Haridwar will be considered greatly pious. But such piety will not be attributed to one who takes bath in Ganga flowing in any other city, or even through one's own locality. 800,000 gathered in Allahabad to take bath during the Kumbh Mela. They had not read Srila Narottam Dasa's prayer, which says, Tirtha Jatra Parishram Kevala Manira Bhram. Going on pilgrimage is simply a useless labor. It is only another kind of satisfaction for the bewildered mind. One will look charming if he grows long hair. Nowadays, you can even find young boys with long hair. No matter how little they eat and no matter how much their faces shrivel up, they will still grow their hair long to try to look. The unfortunate, destitute people of Kali-yuga will use soaps and cosmetics in their attempts to look fair and handsome. A person who can eat to the full satisfaction of his belly will think that he has achieved the fourfold goals of life, namely dharma, religiosity, artha, wealth, kama, sense enjoyment, and moksha, liberation from material bondage. He will not consider it necessary to attain anything more. In the age of Kali, people will think that if they are able to feed their wives and children, they will have achieved the expertise of King Daksha attained. They'll achieve that King Daksha attained by performing fire sacrifices. Putting a dog on the throne. There will be no practical means by which one can make a sacrificial fire. Dharma, religious activities, and seva, service, will exist in name only. People will be bound to the practices of a so-called religious tradition, motivated by their public image as a religious person and the reputation of their guru. Whether they are religious or not, the world will be filled with people of this mentality. The strongest among them will come forward posing as political leaders themselves. By cheating the unfortunate, less intelligent masses, they will accumulate votes and thus become rulers. Sometimes a pot of milk hanging from the wall may fall accidentally, and the cat will think herself fortunate. But what benefit can these low-minded rulers bestow upon the people by such power? Hitopadesh states, Shva yadi kriyate raja tat kim nashnat dupa naham. If a dog eater becomes the king, can he give up his nature? Can one ever give up his nature? What benefit is there in making a dog sit on the throne? He will not give up his nature of eating dried flesh. In the same way, it is sure and certain that those who present themselves as rulers, having painted themselves as leaders with the color of popular vote, will ultimately act according to their acquired nature. Which scriptures related to maintaining their citizens have they read that their hearts will break for the sufferings of the people? While giving grandiose lectures, they will pretend that their heart is breaking. But at the time of action, they will only loot and plunder. Anther nagari bakuba raja, taka shera kaja. The king will be as blind and degraded as the citizens. In this way, a picture of the age of Kali has been painted. Seeing this, we can understand why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Sri Rai Ramananda, Varnashrama dharma eho bahya, age koho ar. Varnashram dharma is external. Please speak something beyond this. How can the people of Kali Yuga practice Varnashram dharma? For them, everything is in jeopardy. Translated from Sri Gaudiya Patrika, Year 7, Issue 1, March 1956. Prajumna Prabhu and Mantar Murthy Mataji. Pretty heavy there at the end, huh? So I'm gonna go now, for I have to be somewhere at 8. So thank you for joining me in this reading. Okay, I'll just end with Mahamantra and then do short Jaidvani. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Damodar Ju ki Jai, Jai Shri Gurudev ki Jai, Jai Shri Param Gurudev ki Jai, Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai, Sapashad Shri Prabhupada ki Jai, Shri Rupa Nuga Gauriya Guru Varga ki Jai, Sapashad Shri Gaur-Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopigan ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Shri Rup Siddhanti Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Tadiya Shubhat Avirbhav Titi ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Lok Paramahansa Maharaj ki Jai, Tadiya Shubhat Thirubhav Titi ki Jai, Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai, Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshava Shachar Krishna Bhakti Padadevi Sattvatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandava Pranam everybody. So I will go live again at this time. Well, I'm going to go live tomorrow morning, of course, to read from Srimad Bhagavatam. We'll continue our reading of Ras Panchadhyay. And then in the evening time, at this time, I will go live to go over the second verse of Govardhan Vas Prarthana Dashakam. Hopefully by that time I'll understand the words, the meaning of the two words that I didn't know. All right. So see you all tomorrow. Jai Shri Radhe. Hari Bol.